Alright guys, and welcome to a quick class picking guide for Mr. Pandaria Classic. Let's begin with the Druid. Now Druid in PvE honestly are not going to stand out that much compared to other classes. Raid DPS wise, you will very likely see the Feral Druid fairly high on the meters and be the go-to DPS spec. But for tanking and healing, there's better options honestly. Druid shine more in PvP in this expansion because of Symbiosis, an ability that allows you to give and steal an ability from other classes. It was so overpowered it did have to be removed. Feral Druids running around with Divine Shield and Dispersion and Resto getting Ice Block and Leap of Faith, strangely enough, was extremely game breaking. By the way guys, if you are playing any version of Classic WoW or Retail right now, by far the fastest step-by-step leveling guide, literally designed by the world record holding speed levelers in the game, is Rested XP. It also has so many useful features like a safer version for hardcore, profession power leveling and gold making, along with a lot of class specific tips. You'll also find an optimal quest preparation route for the launch of TBC Classic and Mr. Pandaria on there that you can start working on right now, so check out the description of the video for more information on that add-on. It's looking like Death Knights in raids are going to be a top tier melee DPS for most raids. Frost will likely be stronger in the early on stages of this expansion, and in PvP also, and then gradually Unholy will crawl ahead as stats start to benefit its more powerful sustained DPS. Blood DK is also considered to be the strongest tank of this expansion yet again. Their Mastery Blood Shield is just so ridiculously overpowered as you can, preemptively use it to absorb most mechanics. In PvP they're also top of the middle pack and go very well in a number of different comps and classes like Hunter for PhDK, Warrior in TSG, and Warlock in Shadowcleave, and some people actually do play them with a Monk as well. I'm pretty sure that comp was called The Walking Dead. They are also mandatory for rated battlegrounds because of their death grip being so vital to secure kills, and a Blood DK is by far the best flag carrier. If you found the video useful so far guys, please do me a solid and subscribe to the channel. I'm going to have loads of subscriber only guides for the TBC Classic and MoP Classic launch very soon, so don't miss out. In raids, you're most likely going to see Beast Mastery and Survival Hunters as they are a top performing DPS in this expansion, and because Hunter Pets provide so many different buffs and debuffs, they do so well in so many different raid comps and will likely be one of the most desired classes for raids, as they honestly feel more like a Shaman in this expansion. Hunter just has so many big and mini cooldowns to mess around with, so if you like cooldown management playstyles, this is the class for you. They are top tier in PvP, able to go into a number of different rank pushing comps, but don't expect them to be an absolute god tier class. Both Arcane and Fire Mage are very strong DPS in MoP depending on your gear situation. Fire Mage will likely be the top dog and possibly even an S tier DPS. Their new ability Alter Time is a great tool to mess around with enemy arena players. You essentially cast it, and then 10 seconds you will return to your location, health and mana as when you did cast it. Frost Mage is definitely considered a god tier PvP spec in MoP because of their insane burst DPS and utility, and you're most likely going to be pushing in something like God Comp. It's called God Comp for a reason. Now, Monk were very overpowered obviously in the original MoP as they were the new hero class, but they got nerfed a lot, so with patch 5.4 class changes are probably not going to be as good as you think, but on the plus side, they do level up much faster than any other class and get their own kind of little class hall area before class halls actually came out. But honestly, they are a middle of the pack DPS, middle of the pack healer in PvP and raids, and I'd say they are slightly stronger as a DPS in PvP when playing with Warlock and Shaman or Mage Druid, and you can push with a Mistweaver with the iconic LSD comp, and obviously that's called LS Monk, but a Druid obviously would be better. It's really the Brewmaster spec that really shines in this expansion. They are a ridiculously strong healer. No, they're not. They're a ridiculously strong tank. And it's because of the stagger mechanic, because it's just so incredibly useful at soaking damage. They're very mobile for a tank when you think about it, as they have the roll stuff and the kicking spinny crap. Anyway, and they can also do just absolutely effortless AoE pulls. Unfortunately, the Paladin don't really stand out on this expansion either. They're middle of the pack across the board really, to be honest, but their tier bonus in Throne of Thunder made them an extremely powerful top tier healer. They're obviously still going to get invited to groups because raid comps need their buffs, but they're definitely not a stacked class and they're probably going to be quite rare, to be honest. Ret in Arela is Arela? What the hell's Arela? Ret in Arena is fairly strong in Vanguard's Cleave or Cupid Cleave, but the other DPS in these Arena comps just aren't that good either. Well, they're alright, but again, they're not god tier in this expansion, so better comps will always just have that edge over you. The priest specs are very strong in this expansion across the board in most aspects of the game. Shadow is a strong top of A tier DPS with great raid utility. They're actually the gods of this expansion when it came to healing and raids also. Prev healing was extremely overpowered in this expansion for topping logs and keeping raid members alive. You probably see a fair few amount of actual solo healers in 10-man raid comps, you know, for those comps that are like pushing logs and speedruns. Both Shadow and Holy Priest can go into a number of god tier, god rank pushing comps with RMP, you know, Rogue, Mage, Priest, and obviously god comp like I mentioned earlier. Rogue are a top performing class across the board in MoP. You will likely see Assassination be the most represented main DPS spec for raiding instead of the usual combat spec, but Subtlety will make a viable appearance for those people looking for something a bit different. It just won't be a dedicated PvP spec like it usually is. And speaking of PvP, the Rogue are very strong, but only really in one comp, and that's RMD, and they're still a little behind all of the absolutely nutty comps in this expansion. The Rogue's most powerful ability in PvP is definitely Smoke Bomb, but it is obviously a long cooldown and it really revolves around getting good smoke bombs off. Shaman are decent in this expansion. It's really time for the enhancement spec to stand out in raids and for Ellie to be god tier in PvP, although Elemental will see its time in the sun later into the expansion as a good raid DPS. All specs get a new powerful cooldown called Ascendance that dramatically improves their performance in, well, every spec, and it's quite a substantial cooldown and probably one of the best of the expansion if you really think about it and read that tooltip. Shaman are able to comfortably push arena rating in this expansion. It's probably one of their most overpowered moments because of the iconic LSD comp that had insane sustained and burst DPS with great utility and counters. Now, Warlock, to be honest, could be the gods of this expansion like they were in TBC Classic. They seem to start strong and end strong from a pure raid performance standpoint in MoP, and in both arena and rated battlegrounds. You're going to see a lot of Warlocks in MoP, trust me. They'll get stacked in raids, rated battlegrounds, and you're going to see many of them in the arena. All of their specs are ridiculously overpowered, and even Demonology is strong. It just requires a bit more thinking and technicality. Their .DPS in this expansion is just unfathomable. Great for pushing phases on technical fights, multi-target fights, and in arena and rated battlegrounds. You won't see many full health pools, put it that way, when going up against a Warlock heavy team. Back in the day, I even saw people trolling with double Affliction Warlock and Arena and actually being able to push rating because they were that strong. Warlock are going to be another top tier class in this expansion. With the 5.4 talents, they're going to start stronger than people think, and once they are well geared into Siege of Orgrimmar, they'll obviously be even stronger. And even a Protection Warrior will do substantial DPS on Cleave boss fights. They're also just generally a very strong tank to play, especially for clearing challenge modes. Warriors will be stacked and in demand for raids because of their new ability, which is a very good raid DPS boost, and it's called Skull Banner. In PvP, they go into so many god tier glad pushing comps like Warrior Mage Druid, KFC, which is Warrior Hunter Healer, and they are the strongest melee DPS to match with a healer to push 2v2 rating. Anyway guys, my name is Metagoblin, until the next video, ciao.